Sketchy NPCs, unreliable narrators, Peter Molyneux. It's safe to say that there are plenty of things that gamers probably shouldn't trust. However, while infamous devs and tricky in-game tropes often come with built-in deception, there's another beast that you should also be skeptical of, and that is pre-release footage. Many video game companies have fallen into the trap of showing off a game before it's fully baked, and this often leads to frustration as players think that they'll get something special, only to find that they're getting the downgraded version. Dun dun dun! So let's have a chat about them. As I'm Jules, this is WhatCulture.com, and these are the 10 worst ever downgrades in video game history. Number 10. The Outer Worlds Switch port. Okay, so let's talk about the Nintendo Switch. I mean, no one's going to deny that this wonderful console is a boatload of fun. I mean, hell, it's produced some of the most enjoyable games of the past decade. That said, it does leave a lot to be desired when talking tech, as Nintendo's premier console struggles to run its own games consistently, and this becomes even worse when you port in third-party games, and The Outer Worlds, well, it definitely learned that the hard way. Obsidian's charming as hell sci-fi RPG is a bona fide delight with great characters, thrilling gameplay, and strong visuals. Sadly, those who played it on the Switch had an entirely different experience. The port is a disaster full of lengthy loading times, poorly optimized visuals, slow spawning textures, a chugging frame rate in firefights, and way more. It is a massive downgrade from the game's PlayStation, Xbox, and PC versions that not even Parvati could fix. Number 9. Silent Hill HD Collection. So here's a legitimate question. Is Konami playing a joke on Silent Hill fans? I mean, the last decade has left lovers of this franchise trapped inside a personal hell, which, while being beautifully ironic, is also very heartbreaking. The Silent Hill HD Collection released in 2012 with the goal of remastering the beloved Silent Hills 2 and 3. And it was a mouth-watering concept, but the final product was more disturbing than a visit from Pyramid Head. There was so much wrong with this remaster, with one of the most egregious points being the loss of the series' signature fog. The original games relied heavily on this effect as part of the aesthetic and a tool for creating scares, and also because it helped them with the limited hardware at the time, so removing it left the game feeling like a hollow downgrade. Additionally, the character models were barely improved, meaning the game's flaws, well, they just came right to the surface. Why even bother remastering a game if you're just going to make it worse? Seeing this iconic franchise so thoroughly dragged through the mud was soul-crushing. Fingers crossed that the upcoming Silent Hill 2 remake does a better job, but let's be honest, that doesn't seem very likely. Number 8. Watch Dogs. Watch Dogs' 2012 revealed trailer was a breathtaking display of technical prowess and promise. It showed the protagonist, Aiden Pierce, navigating a stunning environment with gorgeous weather, clothing, and lighting effects. It was a mind-blowing display of next-gen gaming. However, once the game came out, almost all of this visual finesse was missing. The lighting severely lacked the complex and toned aesthetic of the trailer, Pierce's clothing was far less dynamic, and the incredible detail was dropped. And unfortunately, that was just the beginning. This was not what Ubisoft had advertised. Ultimately, while Watch Dogs wasn't as pretty as promised, it still was a big success. Even those who were disappointed with the downgrade could definitely admit that it was a good-looking title. Still, while it could have been worse, it also could have been a lot better. Number 7. Mass Effect Andromeda. If you're a fan of Commander Shepard, mass relays, and decent sci-fi action, well, look away now. Mass Effect Andromeda is a unique title that earns itself a place on this list for multiple reasons. So let's start with the technical ones. EA were rather stingy with their pre-release footage of this game. However, what was drip-fed through generally looked pretty decent, promising a fun space adventure along the lines of the Mass Effect trilogy, with expressive character models and vibrant locations. Sadly, and you all know how this one goes, the game released as a bland mess with character models that were so rubbery and broken that it felt like a practical joke. The designs and animations were just downright embarrassing. And let's also not forget the default downgrade that this game brought as being a part of the Mass Effect series. Even the stoutest fans of this title agree that it pales in comparison to the original trilogy, offering an abysmal attempt to keep the franchise alive. Number 6. Aliens Colonial Marines. I mean, you knew that this was going to be on here. Just show some of the trailer footage. Just show some of this trailer footage and then put some of the real-life footage after it. This is not the same as this. This is not the same as this. This is not the same as this. And I am sick of talking about this game. It is bad. Number 5. The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt. Now, everybody knows that CD Projekt Red's The Witcher 3 is one of the greatest games ever made. That said, when talking about downgrades, there's no denying that this groundbreaking RPG definitely experienced one. Witcher 3's final form is overall excellent. The character models are superb, the monsters are wicked, the world has plenty of variety, and there's way more on top of that. But that being said, it looks nothing like the first gameplay trailer. The incredible 2013 teaser showed the game's impeccable weather and lighting effects as Big G rode on Roach through the harshest of terrains. Everything from the fire effects on a burning village to the raindrops looked absolutely mind-blowing. But those flames were fanned even harder after the 2014 trailer displayed the title's astonishing cinematic feel. However, the final game, well, it lacks a lot of this finesse. Big G's movements are far more janky, some spectacular detail is just lost, and the weather effects are lacking. And unfortunately, that's just the tip of the iceberg. And when it comes down to it, downgrades are downgrades. Lesser, greater, middling, it makes no difference. Number 4, Anthem. Remember when Anthem was going to be the next big thing in gaming? What a hilarious throwback to a bygone time, eh? BioWare's last attempt to create a new IP, coming hot off the tails of their disastrous Mass Effect Andromeda, was dead on arrival. And this was a massive shame, as the E3 2017 trailer really made Anthem look like a new pillar of gaming. The revealed trailer showcased a bustling world full of personality, detail, incredible textures, and vibrant NPCs with dynamic animations. But players noticed that things didn't look quite so shiny when the game came out. Anthem was a good-looking title, but the incredible lighting effects, textures, and detailing faced drastic reductions. On top of that, the NPCs also lost all of their charm, reverting into bland, stationary interaction points with little personality. Of course, it wasn't just the visuals and NPCs that received downgrades, as the trailer's jaw-dropping open world was ultimately wishful thinking. The sprawling landscapes full of machines and creatures became downsized to something, well, pretty empty and disappointing, making it less of an anthem and more of a polite sing-along. Number 3, Mortal Kombat 1 Switch port. Mortal Kombat players have learned to avoid the Switch like a flying fist to the face multiple times now. The accursed ugliness of the MK11 port felt like a low point for the series, but then MK1 came along and said, "Hold my beer." MK1's Switch port is uglier than a tarkatan wearing braces. The textures lack detail, and the horrendous character expressions and designs are a massive departure from the standard visuals. Plus, don't forget all of those glitches as fabric, skin, and items just clip through character models, making the game appear inherently broken. Unfortunately, being ugly isn't the port's only sin, as it also runs atrociously. It comes with all the hallmarks of a poor Switch port, including long loading times, textures popping in and out, slowdown, and as many bugs as Devourer. Mortal Kombat 1 is a delightful game set to carry the franchise to a great future, but MK1 on the Switch, well, it's an unforgivable, bombastic disaster. Number 2, Killzone II. Look, we all love video games. As such, it can often be easy to forget that they're not all fun and, well, actually games. I mean, there's a serious business to the industry. As such, selling a product is often prioritized over honesty and creative integrity, and now we gesture over to Killzone II. Sony went all in on the advertising campaign for Killzone II before it released on the PS3. However, they went so far in their attempts to make the game sell that they just straight up lied. Killzone II's 2005 E3 trailer delivered an astonishing spectacle of explosive action, groundbreaking animations, a truly cinematic feel, and unreal graphic fidelity. However, it became clear upon the game's release that Sony were telling a few porkies, as the final product looked nothing like the trailer. It turns out that the entire thing was pre-rendered and wasn't legitimately gameplay footage. Now, this technically means that it wasn't a downgrade, as the impeccable product never really existed. Of course, that doesn't change the fact that Killzone 2, while being a solid FPS in its own right, was nothing like what we were advertised. And number 1, No Man's Sky. The Ballad of No Man's Sky is one of the most sung songs in gaming. If you've never heard of its rise and fall and subsequent rise, then you clearly were off-planet in 2016. No Man's Sky's pre-release hype train was unreal. The small Hello Games studio delivered trailers and gameplay footage that made the game look like a boundless piece of art. Everything from the visuals, the procedurally generated environments, to the gameplay seemed a little too good to be true. And that's because it was. When the game came out, it was nowhere near what was advertised. The visuals were wonky, and the amount of missing features was so great that Reddit composed a comprehensive list of every failed promise. Everyone who shelled out money for a copy of the game felt personally lied to. Thankfully, what goes down can sometimes come back up. And Hello Games have worked incredibly hard to patch NMS, improving the visuals, tightening the gameplay, and adding in a ton of the missing features. And overall, it's an entirely different game in 2023. In fact, it's actually gone beyond its promises and is absolutely brilliant. So, there we go. A happy ending for a change. Isn't that nice? And there we go, my friends. Those were the 10 worst ever downgrades in video game history. I hope that you enjoyed that, and please let me know what you thought about it down in the comment section below. As always, I've been Jules. You can go follow me over on the social medias, where it's at RetroJ, but the O is a 0, or you can swing by the FGS or Future Game Show YouTube channel where I'm doing all of my gaming content going forward. That's right. Come see me over there. I only work here part-time now. As always, I've been Jules. You have been awesome. Never forget that, my friend. And remember, you're a big ledge. Bye.